raising your hand isn't about always answering, is it? It's about the timing, it's about waiting, and it's also that you hope for the moment that you're chosen. And don't get me wrong, raising your hand, that's a great habit. It teaches you so much more. It teaches you patience, it teaches you order, it teaches you how to maintain discipline and decorum. But at some point, a different question might strike you. What if nobody calls out to you? So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Aaren Panikar, and for me, today's theme is when I stopped raising my hand and started asking questions. So, let me tell you a short story. In 2011, I was in the second grade. There's a play we were doing, Gulliver's Travels, if you might have heard of it. I was quite nervous. I prepared, I auditioned. In fact, I knew the lines at the tip of my tongue, and I still do. But guess what? I did not manage to land that part. What happened then in 2012 was Tom Sawyer. Again, I prepared. I was quite scared. I was nervous. I was sure this time that I was going to play Tom. But the same thing followed. Then we did Around the World in 80 days. The same thing followed, and I thought that within my school, where we were 100, 200 students in a batch, was I good enough if I wasn't able to be even a primary character or even a secondary character? Was I good enough for the outside world? Some people might have quit at that point, but truth be told, that was only what I knew. This was only what I was interested in. And then, after trying with dedication and determination, I went on and I started my theater career, where I've performed at Royal Opera House, where I performed in Gandhi the Musical with over 1,200 people watching and 15 to 18 shows week after week. What this taught me, stepping into Gandhi, taught me about how to understand human emotion and not textbook information. This also taught me that leadership begins with listening, observing, and feeling before you speak. That's the reason I'm a firm believer in hard work always beats talent. That's my go-to mantra. After that, I voiced for a few movies in the Hindi film industry. I've done over 8 movies, 8 web shows. But that was after constantly trying, after wanting to do more. After my Hindi reading was not very good at that point. But then I kept trying constantly, evolving with time and trying to learn. So now, let me take you that the world has moved from fluid identities where expression and influence now actually matter to us. Today's world, the theme, the relevance is changing. 30 years ago, you saw everybody wanted to be a doctor or an engineer. It was 2 paths only. But in today's world, we now seek a new identity. We seek a new freedom of speech, and we seek a form of a wave of expression. So what schools usually do is they make people memorize answers, not understand people. What they also do is follow instructions, not decisions, and compete individually and not collaborate empathetically. But what happens in our real world, as you can see, is that you need to understand perspectives before solving problems. You need stitching and switching between roles, skills, and contents, contexts, both. Communicating with clarity, emotion, and intent. So now is where your reset model comes into picture. What do we do here? Empathy learning. I think schools, colleges, universities, it is very important and integral for us to involve and inculcate empathy learning. So you step into other people's shoes with multidisciplinary learning. What you also do is you learn by, it could be performing, leading, creating, and not just listening. So let us now build humans who can adapt and not just students who can only score. So recently, just last year, Shark Tank India, where ideas take the stage, where the country wants to go on, I was featured there, and funnily the episode's name was also Young Entrepreneurs Take the Stage. It was a segment where I shared my thoughts on entrepreneurship and innovation in India, along with our education system. Let me show you shorts.
कन्वीनियंस के हिसाब से किसने सोचा था 8-10 साल पहले कि 7 मिनट में आपको ग्रोसरीज आपके घर डिलीवर हो जाएंगे। इंतजार करने वालों को उतना ही मिलता है जितना कोशिश करने वाले छोड़ देते हैं। एंड यहाँ पे सभी कोशिश करें, सभी को कुछ ना कुछ करना है इन देयर इंडस्ट्री।
So as you saw, this segment spoke about innovation and entrepreneurship and education in our country. So what I was able to convey was that 10 years ago, who would dream when you're sitting in your living rooms with the air conditioners turned on, with just one magical finger, with one tap, you'd be getting groceries in 8 to 10 minutes? Had you thought of that? Over then, at that time, did people want groceries? Yes. In today's day, do people want groceries? Yes. But did you ever imagine this? I do not think so. But introducing it made it seem like a need. Now, your go-to local stores, your Kirana stores, might seem like a very, very big headache to go and actually purchase it. This is what innovation does. Providing a service that you might not know that you need, and bridging the gap, and never knowing that this was a problem, and then giving an experience to customers, and now building a necessity where now this has become more of a need. So now let me quickly take you through what the important points are. Identity. The importance of having your own distinct identity is something which cannot be ever undersold. Your identity is always your biggest selling point. It is your brand, your image, your strongest suit. Your life can be molded by your identity rather than your identity being molded by your life is what I believe. Your interpersonal skills, like right now we've seen how AI has taken over. That's great. A generation needs to learn coding. But let's not forget, apart from coding, let's not forget to also understand each other. And let's stop preparing and start practicing. We create charts and mind diagrams and mind maps at all times, but jumping headfirst into our dreams and goals is what education must do. Learn while you participate. That becomes a learning instead of envisioning something that you might do in the future. So don't not start now because you're not ready. It's never too early in life. Most problems don't announce themselves. Subjects taught in school, let me tell you, they teach us a deeper level of understanding, more than pie charts and your diagrams. Like math teaches you structure, art teaches you perspective, drama teaches you expression, geography teaches you exploration, science teaches you inquiry. But what are these standalone with each other? Are they anything? They're all lenses that come together. The amalgamation and collection and application of them together is what education is. Cross-disciplinary learning is what bridges our gaps. So education is broad, right? You're always told that think outside the box. But I believe like, let's think outside the book now. Let's have a deeper understanding of things. So skills are usually only recognized and utilized when they're out there, which is contrary to the traditional learning that we've been doing, that education tells us to do, that you should speak only when asked. No, you should speak whenever you have an idea, because an idea is what takes you forward. So AI, let me talk about AI. AI has evolved. Most of us only know ChatGPT, but AI has evolved far more than ChatGPT in today's time. You can build tools and integrate systems with one prompt. Understanding what AI builds for you is crucial. So understanding and learning and teaching that is what this generation would need. Education, like we all agree, education should teach with AI and not without. Integrate AI into curriculum, teach them the benefits, the positives, the negatives, them all. AI, like any tool, it only works well when the hands and the questions behind it work well. So students need to be a part of the process. They need to think, discuss, and decide. Peer-focused learning with teacher as a guide. Your teachers have to be your guide and not a path maker like the traditional way. Because if you make a path yourself is when you learn from your mistakes, from your successes. Best ideas and learners understand AI's impacts. So this is just, let me talk, you can see the icebergs. We have our common softwares and upcoming AI softwares. All fine. Understanding it with human touch, personalization, authenticity, and emotion is what is integral. So what I believe is 30% of your learning is inside the classroom, your foundation, theory. But what about the rest of the 70%? The rest of the 70% learning that I resonate to. The rest of the 70% is where ideas collide, where confidence is forged, and curiosity really gets tested. That's when you realize that memorizing concepts will never take you far in life. It's about stepping into the unknown, asking yourself questions, taking that risk, taking that extra mile, and figuring out something. Classrooms will always teach you and show you how to play the game, but the real world shows you actually how to win the game. So, like you see famous personalities telling you, there's a very famous saying that I really like. It says that if someone is trying constantly in that same rigmarole, fails once, fails twice, fails thrice, fails 10 times, 20 times, and finally gives up, why do we give up? Imagine if now I told you that you're going to fail 27 times and the 28th time you'll be successful. How fast would you want to fail 27 times in order to reach that success? You do it in a minute. You do it with a skip of a heartbeat, right? So take that risk, take that leap of faith, as they say, and go and do what you believe. So like I say that, it's a quote that I write myself as well. I write in Hindi. हकीकत से सपनों तक का सफर को जिंदगी कहते हैं. Let me translate that for you. Your reality and your dreams, the journey that you write for yourselves, is what life is. What is life otherwise? So, what I do now is I do teach principles of management. Apart from that, I also take part, I'm an event manager. I take part of events. I work at a university called Atlas Skill Tech University, where I've mentored over 1,400 students. And what's so interesting is 1,400 students and 1 billion ideas. Like I saw a talk the other day, there must have been 1 million people who've given TED Talks. That means 1 million ideas. 1,000 themes. That means so many combinations of what each individual is so unique from each other, and each individual thinks so differently. So, I've been a TEDx host at multiple venues, and this time was my first to be a speaker. That's a journey for me. How did I learn? Why was I called here today in front of so many people? A little bit of experience, a little bit of hard work, and most importantly, because I took the stage before. In my life, it could be a stage. In your life, it could be anything that you like. It could be sports, it could be finance, it could be marketing. What is the idea? I believe at this age, or a little an age that comes maybe 5, 8 years from now, if you get sleep at night, you're doing something completely wrong. It is an idea that should keep you awake. It should keep an idea that should drive your mind throughout, that you want to constantly learn. I'd like to end by saying, जिस वक्त में हम हैं वो कभी लौट के नहीं आएगा, इसलिए दिल से पूछो कि वो क्या चाहेगा. Thank you so much for having me here.